back to another episode of Sentience, Conversations about Lives Being Lived. I'm your host, Allison Samalita. For today's episode, I am thrilled to be able to have the opportunity to have a conversation about an experience that has intrigued me for many years. Originally, I am from Chicago, a city that really needs no introduction, carries many visions of what it represents, what it is famous for, and, at times, what it is infamous for. It is a city with serious history and many, many layers. Everyone I meet who learns that Chicago is my hometown gets this interesting look in their eye, like they are remembering a time they visited the city or knew someone from there. And they all have a story to share, it seems. It is pretty amazing, really. What I find, though, with people who did not grow up there or live there for an extended period of time is that they usually reference the same things: deep dish pizza, Al Capone, the wind, O'Hare Airport. I appreciate these tiny moments as I see them as nuggets of Midwestern memories, but they tend to remain there. When I moved away from the city many years ago to pursue new chapters in life, I began to observe a unique situation that would happen with specific people, where within minutes of meeting them, I would ask, "Are you from Chicago by any chance?" Maybe it was hints of an accent or the way a person carried themselves, a reference that caught my attention. But they almost always say yes. And we usually end up diving into deep reference points. What neighborhood are you from? What L train line were you closest to? Where did you go to school? Throwing around street names, north side, south side, how the Bears are looking in any given year, winter. I am grateful for these meetings in life. Chicago is a town that not a lot of people leave. It really is a great place full of culture, art, and hardworking, no-nonsense, get-to-the-point residents. So it is not surprising that people spend their entire lives there. Some do move away, though, and I do not think it is a coincidence that those who do end up finding each other out in the world. Being a Chicagoan provides you with a unique set of roots that forever tie you to the land. It is a gift that I was not able to see clearly until I did move away. And my sense of pride continues to grow as my community of former Chicagoans expands. When I met today's guest here on Maui, she quickly became a part of that community. I felt the connection, and I am just so excited to have her on the show as a guest. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce Carrie LaRue. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here today. I think it's going to be a really fun episode.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have a lot of different things to talk about today. So, why don't we start with you telling me a little bit about yourself?
Okay. So I grew up in Chicago area, in a suburb of Chicago. Lived there my whole life, and then moved to Maui 4 years ago. So now I am a resident of Maui.
So you were in Illinois for most of your life?
Right, except for 5 years. My husband was transferred to the East Coast. I lived right outside of Philadelphia for 5 years, which was a wonderful experience. Then we moved back to Chicago in 2000.
Okay, can you talk a little bit about how Chicago has played a role in your life, from growing up there and spending much of your life there?
Yeah, so Chicago, as you know, and this is one thing I really love about it, is the diversity. Every neighborhood is diverse, and I'm really happy that I was able to be privileged enough to grow up that way. So that has played a big role in my life. I think being from the Chicago area I just enjoy the diversity and the different cultures, the different ethnicities, and I thought that was really, I think that was a privilege that I was able to live like that.
That's a really great point, and it's one of those things that are so ingrained.
Yes.
in growing up in any big city, really. But you're so correct about the diversity and how each neighborhood it's like each neighborhood has its own identity, really.
Right.
And I've always really cherish that and the ability to go to restaurants that are specific from a specific region or in a specific country, whatever it may be, you can find it
I know.
through the neighborhoods. And so not everywhere in the U.S. is like that.
No, I agree. So again, I think it was a privilege for me to grow up the way that I did. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, well, let me ask you, what is one thing, now that you've moved away and you're here on Maui now, what is one thing that you miss about Chicago?
Well, all my family is there, so I miss my family. But I go back, probably every 6 months. I try to get back to Chicago, and I like to go back even in the winter. I went back on a December, and it wasn't snowing, but it did rain, and it's that bone-chilling cold, where it just chills you to the bone. So
Quite literally.
Literally, yes.
Quite literally.
Literally. So I miss my family, because I would just get in the car and go see my old mother and her sisters and stuff like that. So it was, that's probably the biggest thing that I miss.
Family.
Yeah, family.
And what do you miss the least about Chicago?
The weather.
The weather.
Yeah. I mean, right before we left, it snowed on May 11th, and that date is forever ingrained in my brain. Usually we would plant flowers around that time, and it snowed. So yeah, that's forever ingrained.
You really can't plan for anyone who's never really experienced Chicago. You really can't plan anything until June.
No, absolutely not.
It really could snow in May.
And it did, yes.
It did.
And it did, yeah.
And it did.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, I really want to have an interesting episode today where we talk about Chicago, but we also talk about Maui.
Okay.
So before we jump into Maui, I thought it would be fun to go over some terms or ideas or words.
Okay.
About that come to me when I think about Chicago.
Okay.
And see what comes to you and what comes to me,
Okay.
and see if we have shared feelings or memories about these things.
Okay.
So the first one, food.
Okay, deep dish pizza.
Okay.
Yes.
You're a fan.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
What's your favorite deep dish restaurant?
Lou Malnati's.
Lou Malnati's. Okay.
And we can get that delivered here.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You know what?
Yes.
You're right.
And my sister-in-law.
Have you done it?
Oh, yes.
Really? What does it come like in
It
like
keeps-
a dry
it-
ice or?
Dry ice.
Really? And does it taste the same?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You'll have to
Wow.
try it.
That's really good to know. Where was I? I don't remember which grocery store it was, but they had. It might have been Gino's East.
I've seen Home Run Inn at
Home
one
Run
of the grocery stores.
It was in the frozen section.
Right,
But this
right.
is different. That's like coming straight from the restaurant?
Yep, comes
Wow.
straight from the restaurant.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so when you think of food, you think of deep dish pizza.
Yes, yes. How about you?
I think the strongest sense for me with food is the ability, and like I was just saying a little while ago, the ability to really eat whatever I want. Like I can find that, and
Yeah.
I love food. Just in general, I love food, and so. That gift of being able to go, I used to love to go to the Polish grocery stores, like the deli section.
Yeah.
Wow. But you know what I really miss, and this is in no way healthy, but like a basket of cheese fries and a hot dog, like that.
Yes.
Like that is.
It's comfort food, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. When it's so cold, but I always said, like, if you can find, like other places they have like the charbroiled burgers and hot dogs and stuff. If the windows are greasy, you know it's good.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
That is my marker.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, and then as a follow-up question, what are your feelings on the very real arguments over putting ketchup on a hot dog?
I don't.
You don't do it. Okay, so do you not do it because you don't like it, or
I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about other people putting it on hot dogs?
They can do what they want.
Okay. Okay. So this is a struggle that I had living there because I actually like ketchup on a hot dog, and I was always very. It's like it's illegal in Chicago
It's
to do
illegal,
this. It's
yeah.
literally, well, not literally, but
Yeah.
figuratively illegal to
It
put
is.
ketchup on a hot dog. And so I felt like it was like this complex I developed because I liked ketchup and onion on my hot dogs, and
No. No,
it's like,
Allison.
I know, but so I had to like eat them in hiding.
Oh, that's bad.
I know. So it was quite liberating after I left to be able to put ketchup on a hot dog and not be judged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Museums. What do the museums mean to you?
So, growing up in the Chicago area, I mean, that was our field trips. You know, going to the museums or the shed or any of those, you know, that was our field trips. Other people went somewhere else. Well, we went to the museums and it was wonderful. Yeah, so we always grew up, you know, going to all of them.
Do you have a favorite?
I like the Art Institute.
The Art Institute, yes.
That is my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is. That has a very special place in my
Yeah.
heart. My mom and I used to go. We had a tradition where in the summertime, I don't even know if they still have this, but do you remember the restaurant around the fountains in the garden area?
don't.
Like there's like it's like a square in the middle of the Art Institute where they had this beautiful garden restaurant.
I don't remember that.
Gosh, that was just. I always loved. We would have like a date in the
that's so
summertime.
sweet. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that's such a stunning museum.
Yes, I love that museum. I can't even tell you how many times I've been there. I mean, it's just
I know. It's
countless. Yeah,
You can never get tired of it. It's just
No.
always discovering something new.
exactly.
I would say, see, it's between the Art Institute and the Field Museum.
I like the film museum.
That is just, it's amazing.
It is, yeah.
I have this memory. I used to go to these workshops as a kid, like, you know, day-long workshops for kids. And I loved going to the Field Museum once because we would do like archaeology and looking at different bones and stuff like that. And it's this very vivid memory in my mind. I must have been, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9, 10.
Yes, yes.
Pretty young. And we would get to walk, like we would be in the research lab area but a group of kids, and then getting to walk the museum and never realizing how much of a gift that was.
Right, right.
Wow, it's a world-class museum.
I know.
So, yeah, love it.
Love it.
Okay. The musicians on State Street, Michigan Avenue, and in the underground L stations. Did those ever resonate with you, like just hearing them? And
Not really, no, because I didn't really take the L that often
I see,
until
okay.
I moved to the city, and then I would take the L. But
Okay.
I really didn't as a child. No. State Street, of course. I mean, walking, you know, State Street and shopping, especially at Christmas. You know,
Yes.
going to Marshall Fields, which no
I still
longer,
call it. Well, I still call it Fields.
Yeah, Marshall Fields. It doesn't exist anymore. But those were always special to do that, especially during Christmas. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we were talking a while back that I just visited back home this past summer, and I brought my son, and I took him down there, and I walked him through all of the floors of. I know it's Macy's now,
Yeah.
but I still call it Fields.
Do you? Yeah.
Yes, and I bought him a box of Frango mints, and just trying to help him understand how amazing and special that architecture of that building is. It's
beautiful.
Just like, they just don't make those anymore.
No,
It's like Miracle on 34th Street, you know, and that is a Macy's. But
that is amazing. Yeah.
but it's still. It just holds so much for me.
Yeah.
But the musicians, for me, it's one of those things where I hear them, and it's like second nature for me, because I grew up in the city, so. I was always taking the public transit with my mom, and just hearing that music, it's just, I cherish that, and always throwing him a couple bucks and
Right.
it was just wonderful to be able to introduce my son to that, because he's a drummer, and so a lot of times they're drumming, and in a different type of drumming that he does, but it's just something that you don't see everywhere.
No,
So
no, you don't.
I love it. I love it. Okay, one of my favorite things from the summertime, going to Ravinia. Did you ever go to Ravinia?
No.
You never went to Ravinia?
No.
Oh, well, you need to go to Ravinia.
I know.
It's amazing.
Everybody would say that to me. And
oh my gosh, yes.
I know.
It's great.
No, we never did. We would go, because we were more in the suburbs, we would go to like the Tweeter Center and
So you were
Poplar
Western suburbs?
Creek. Yes, we
Okay,
were Western suburbs. So we used to do that. So those I have really, fond memories.
Well, that's a really good point, because it's the Chicago, they call it the Chicagoland area,
Right.
It's so massive, millions and millions and millions of people, and what strikes me is how people will gravitate when they go to the suburbs, that they go to a specific region. So I spent my time, like I grew up on the northwest side of the city, so Ravinia is on the North Shore, and so I rarely went to the western suburbs or the south suburbs. I didn't start doing that until I was older,
Right.
but we never gravitated. And so that's interesting. Like where you live in the city is where you gravitate towards for shopping outside of the city.
Exactly.
It's so interesting.
It is interesting.
Okay, well, Ravinia it's stunning, and it's just, put that on your summer bucket list.
Okay.
And bring a beautiful picnic, and it's incredible. It's a music venue, for anyone who's wondering. That has everything from classical music to popular music. That's
everything.
now. So
everything.
beautiful. Okay, this is something that played a big role in my life, the very extensive forest preserve system there. Did you spend a lot of time going to those?
Yes.
What did those mean to you?
So we would go all the time and hang out, that's what we did, especially throughout high school. We would go there, and turn on the radio and listen to music and just hang out and play softball. Softball was a big thing to do, and I was just in Illinois about a month ago, and I was looking while we were driving, like, there are so many forest preserves. I guess I took it for granted when I lived there, but then when I went back just recently, I'm like, oh my gosh, there is like one on every mile, and it was just, they're very extensive, but it was somewhere to go, and especially, if you're in the city, it's not, it was like nature and hanging out.
They're amazing.
They're amazing.
And I spent so much time going to them. Where I lived, we were very blessed, I see now, that the whole area was basically surrounded by forest preserve system.
Right.
And living in the city, you don't expect this, but I would see deer running down down the side streets and stuff.
Yes.
I'd have possums, skunks, everything, because we had forest preserve all around us. But my day camp would have their meet there every day, and for several years I did that. Picnics, like with school or church or whatever it was. Everybody utilizes them, and and then the bike trails within them.
Right.
And I always appreciated them, but as I've gotten older and I go back and visit, I realize how much of a gift that is.
It really is. It's free.
It's free. They're never terribly crowded.
No.
And living in such a densely populated place, to be able to have that space in nature in the middle of a very urban place,
right,
is incredible.
It is.
And then the way the Chicago River runs through some of it, and I love it. It's a very special place in my heart.
It is.
For the forest.
It's very nice.
Okay, well, I don't know if this even plays a role from like the neighborhood you're in, but the tamale ladies who sell tamales on the street corners. Did you ever purchased tamales from them.
Yes.
You did?
So yeah, because my sister-in-law lives downtown, and she lived in a Hispanic neighborhood, and oh yes, we did. And street corn too.
Street elotes. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So both of those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear.
Yeah, of course.
I miss them so much.
I know.
Okay.
Still a favorite of mine, you know?
Okay, it's kind of funny because the last years that I lived there, I lived in Wicker Park and then Ukrainian Village, and I worked downtown. And so I would buy a bag of tamales on my way to the train, and I would sit at my desk, and I would eat my tamales.
Oh my gosh.
They were so good.
They're so good.
And at the time, they were like 65 cents.
Oh, were they? I don't
Yes.
remember. I don't remember.
And they're
how
as
much they were.
authentic as you can get.
I know. I know.
Still, I'm sure they're a bit more now, but I mean, that was, well, a little over 15 years ago. And so they can't be that much more expensive now, but I missed that. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It's amazing. I don't know if they were completely legal, like with health
Probably
code
not.
violations, but I don't care, because
They were good.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm happy to support your business. Please give me as many
Yeah.
tamales as you.
And you're still here, so.
Right,
Yes,
right.
yes.
Okay, so, well, you kind of answered this one already, but public transportation, like having access to that in the system that exists there, how was that for you?
So I used to take the bus to high school. So I would take public transportation because where we lived in the suburbs, I had to take, it was, I don't know, 22 blocks. So I took public transportation to my high school.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then to the L, we would take the L, go see the Cubs games. So, when I was young, we would, take the train and then take the L to see the Cubs,
Yeah. It really is quite wonderful. It can get frustrating, like when the buses show up in 3. That used to happen to me a lot, where I'd be waiting and waiting for the bus, and then 3 would come.
Yeah.
But it really is quite a gift, and it's still very, very affordable.
It's affordable and it's very convenient too.
Yes.
There's a lot of options in Chicago
You
with
really
the bus.
don't need a car.
You don't.
You could get by
No.
without it.
Yeah. You don't need one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that is quite wonderful. It's,
Yeah.
I guess, I've been away for a while, and I lived in Northern California, where I did actually I had the BART station right near me, but I think from where I was to get into San Francisco was $8.
Oh.
So the CTA is what, like, I think it's up to like $2.25 right
Yeah,
now.
it used to be like $1.50. And when I went to $1.50, I'm like, oh my gosh, $1.50.
Okay, well, I know that we have lots to cover, so see,
Okay.
this is fun. This is fun. Okay, just a few more. Okay, people who understand the word, and I'm going to really emphasize it, front room.
Yes.
Front room, because if I say it with my Chicago accent, front room, there's a CH in there, but
Somewhere, yeah.
front room. Do you use that term?
Not anymore.
You had to. You had to stop saying it?
Yeah,
people don't understand
They
it.
don't understand it. And
Okay.
another word too that I used is washroom, and people don't understand that.
Washroom.
And that is.
Now I say restroom.
So do I, but
Yeah.
that's
That's
a
a good one.
Midwest. Yeah.
Washroom,
So
yep.
I'll say, and I still say it, and people look at me like, I don't. Oh, restroom. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have to correct myself.
For those of you that don't know, a front room.
Yeah. Front.
In
room.
Chicago, we say front room. Is a living room.
Yes.
But nobody outside of Chicago or the Midwest, perhaps, really knows what that is. So when I was back home, I still say it, actually. I still say it. But when I was back home recently, I was having dinner with a friend who has known me my whole life. And I didn't even realize I ordered, and she's like, soda? And I'm like, oh, wow.
That's another one.
I had to train, So everybody in Chicago says pop.
Pop.
And I think between my life in California and then my life here, I have fully transitioned to soda.
Yeah.
But I still say front room. Front room.
Easy for you to say.
Front room.
Yeah.
That feels weird.
I
Front
know,
room.
yeah.
It's a front room.
It's a
All right.
front room, yeah.
Okay. Night games at Wrigley.
Yes. So when I was growing up, they didn't have it. Night games. So I forgot what year that they started it, but it was always during the day that we would go and sit in the bleachers because that's what you did, when you were young, is sit in the bleachers. But then finally when they started night games, and I went to a few night games.
Well, it had to be for some reason 1989 is sticking out.
It was in the 80s.
Was it the 80s?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't remember what year it was.
Well,
yeah.
I had mentioned that working at Wrigley was one of my first jobs.
Yes.
And so I was 15 when I was working there. And I remember specifically working night games.
Okay.
What was that? So that was the mid-90s.
Okay.
Mid-90s. So at least, I think it must have been the late 80s.
It must
that they
have
started,
been.
or early
yeah.
90s.
Right, right.
But they are an experience to be had. It's so different than a day. I mean, a day game is fun too, but
Yeah.
it's just different.
It's different.
It's
yeah.
different.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Okay, we have two more.
Okay.
Warm. The way I phrase this: warm weather festivals. So the street festivals during.
Yes.
I call it warm weather because they seem to have them as soon as the weather is. It doesn't have to be summer. As
No.
as the weather is decent, these
Exactly.
festivals pop up. So
Yes.
did you attend a lot of those?
Yes, a lot, especially
Yeah.
when I lived in the city. Yeah, so after I got married, yes, all the time.
Yeah.
That's all we did, and they'd be down the street from us, so easy.
Yep.
Just walk down the street, yes. And they were the best. Local bands,
Bands,
local
food.
food. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite ones was Pierogi Fest.
Oh, I never would say.
There's a fest for everything, including pierogies, and
Yeah.
I loved it. So good.
I didn't partake in the Pierogi Fest, but all the other ones that I did.
At the
yeah.
Pierogi Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they were so good. Okay, and then the last one, the ability to take weekend drives to different states.
Yes.
And usually it was Wisconsin or Michigan were the
Right.
two most popular ones. Sometimes
Yes.
Indiana, but
Sometimes Indiana, but mostly Wisconsin. Yeah, we would mostly go to Wisconsin. My grandmother lived in Illinois, but right by the Iowa border. So I spent like almost every summer there. She lived, there was nothing out there. It was open and.
have you been to Galena?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's near Iowa. That's one
Yeah.
of my favorite places
Yeah,
in the entire world.
Galena's beautiful.
It is literally one of my favorite places in the
Yes,
entire world.
it's very pretty.
Well, yeah, and that's a good point though, because I don't feel like Iowa is right there, but I don't feel like it gets a lot of representation from Chicagoans because it's kind of a far drive.
It is a far drive. Yeah.
But I discovered a really wonderful campground right on the Mississippi. It was on the Illinois side, but right on the Mississippi River, maybe about an hour south, I want to say, of Galena.
Okay.
It's a beautiful area. Completely different landscape.
Oh, yes.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It's very pretty.
Okay, well that was fun. That was
Yeah.
a lot of fun. I'm so
Yeah,
glad we did
it's-
that.
It's nice to reminisce.
Yes, yes, and to have just those shared memories. It's nice. Okay, well, can you tell me what brought you to Maui?
Okay, so my husband and I got married on Maui 35 years ago. It was just 35 years ago in June. And it was a destination wedding. So
Actually, we have a picture of when you guys got married. Can we pull up
yes.
the picture of when? Okay,
There we
so,
are.
Okay, so you got married 35 years ago here on Maui.
here on Maui on Kaanapali.
Okay.
So we got married. That tree is still there, by the way.
Is it?
So, yes, because we went and checked it out. So, 35 years ago, and we got married here, and then we went home and had a after wedding celebration. So yeah, that was when
So it was just the two of you came here to get married?
Just the two of
Okay.
us. Just the two of us.
That's a beautiful picture.
Oh my gosh, thank you. It's so old. And so we got married here, and then on my way home, I just felt a connection here when we were here, and when we left, I was just crying and saying, "Oh my God, I don't want to leave," and I just felt that connection. So my husband and I made a pact that once we retired, we would move here. So we would come back every year or every other year, something like that. So it wasn't like it was one and done. I mean, we had that connection. So, and then we fulfilled our dream. So 4 years
back
ago.
when you got married, you made that pact. That
Yes.
Really? And you
Yes.
stuck to it.
And we stuck
Wow.
to it, which
Wow.
is, to me, that's amazing because we made this pact 35 years ago.
Right.
And we did it, yeah.
Well, and Maui has that sort of presence in people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's like
Right.
And I've seen that in so many people and talking with them that's a consistent theme and
Yes.
listening to that message and either it becomes just this far off dream or you would really make it happen.
You make
and
it
you guys
happen.
did it.
Yeah, we did it, yeah. So that was really great.
Well, can we pull up the picture of Carrie and her husband now?
Oh,
so
yes.
Is this the same location?
No,
Or
no,
nearby?
I don't know where that is.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where
It kind of looks like
that.
West Side, maybe.
It probably, it could be, yeah.
Wow, and now this is home for you.
Now this is home, yes. And
Oh.
when we moved here 4 years ago, we had adopted a dog, so we brought her with us.
We have a picture of Zoe,
Yeah,
right?
Zoe, yes.
Can we pull that one up?
We brought her with us.
So
yes.
she's a Chicago dog now living on Maui.
Yes.
Okay.
And she loves it here.
She's so cute.
She hated the snow, so she acclimated immediately. She likes to chase the geckos. That's
She
the only
does?
thing. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but she likes to chase the
Oh,
geckos. So,
she's a
yeah.
cutie.
Thank you. Yeah, so we brought her here from Chicago. We adopted her from Paws in Chicago. Yes,
Oh.
another iconic
Yes.
Chicago.
Yes. Oh, wow, I haven't heard about that organization in so long.
Yeah.
Okay. So what has it been for you as a Midwesterner living outside of the Midwest? What is that experience like for you?
So I still, even though I've been here 4 years, I feel like I'm still finding my place, So I knew when I lived in the Midwest, I volunteered a lot for the hospital. So I knew that I wanted to volunteer here at the hospital when I moved here. So I was able to get in contact with the auxiliary before I moved here, and I started volunteering immediately when I moved here. So.
Well, that's actually how we met, and I was really very struck by how giving and committed you were to working in the community here, and I was so appreciative through a project I was working on. That's how we connected,
Right.
and found each other, and it's really beautiful to see. It's like inherent. I could sense that with you that
Thank you.
yeah, that wanting to not just volunteer for 30 minutes, but Allison, if you need help on anything else, that was amazing.
Yeah, I think it's really important to give back, and I feel very, very lucky to live on Maui. So I say it all the time. We're very lucky to live here, and I think it's really important to give back to the people and to the land, the Aina. So I think it's really important to do that. Yeah.
So when you moved here, you worked with the hospital here? Is that okay?
At Maui Memorial. I started with visiting the patients and just talking story, and just connecting with the patients. And then I started onboarding new volunteers, and then my
becoming a
role,
job.
I know, and then my role started getting bigger, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a job. But I really enjoyed the patient contact was my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy interacting with the patients, and sometimes they didn't have other family, or their family is at on the mainland or whatever. So
Or another island,
Or
maybe?
another island,
Yeah.
exactly. So it was important to be able to talk and
that's
make
just
them feel
wonderful.
comfortable. Yeah.
Wonderful. Have you volunteered in other types of industries or with other organizations here on Maui that really felt close to you?
Yeah, well, people contact is like my all-time, and then I love kids, so doing anything with the children to helping them grow and to learn different things. School gives you certain skills, but then you don't learn the life skills. Etiquette, banking, simple things like that aren't really taught in school. So I enjoy doing that.
And banking's your background.
My banking is my background, yeah. I work for a large financial institution, international financial institution, yeah. So that was my background, yeah.
So being able to pay it forward to the community in a different capacity.
Right. Yeah.
And what I have found here on Maui is it's so interesting to me. And I worked in nonprofit for many years here. I'd never worked in nonprofit until I came to Hawaii.
Okay.
And I was really in awe of how many nonprofits there are here, not just on Maui, but in the whole state. It's very, very supportive of nonprofits and just doing so much great work in the community in very different ways. And so it's, as someone who really enjoys volunteering, it just seems like a wonderful space to be giving back because you have so many different elements that you can contribute to.
Exactly.
That Maui is really supportive of that. So I think it's really beautiful that you donate your time.
Yeah. And I just like it. I just like being able to, to do it. So yeah, and I think this is a great place, like you said, it's a great place there's so many opportunities here that you can find anything to volunteer.
Anything you feel called to,
exactly.
You're going to most likely find.
You're right, exactly.
Was there anyone or anything in life that inspired you to really embrace volunteering?
My whole family. My mom's a big volunteer person. She got me involved. She was a teacher for handicapped children or special needs, and so she got me into that at a really young age. I remember at like 10, I would go to her classroom and just do little things to help out. So that was really rewarding, as a young person doing that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. It really. I really appreciate those moments in life because you may not realize it at the time, but it's creating an understanding within a person and being able to give back to the community at a time in life when you can. It's within, and so it's wonderful and beautiful, and I really appreciate meeting people who want to volunteer.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah. So I got to do more. I'm on the hunt. I'm on the hunt to see what my next volunteering job will be. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's
wonderful. I'm on the hunt right now. So.
I love it. Okay, so. We're coming to a close, actually. I can't believe how fast our time has gone.
Oh, it's gone fast, yeah.
But I did want to ask, do you feel, when you meet other Chicagoans outside of Chicago, do you feel a special connection with them? Do you feel like you gravitate towards them?
Yes, yeah, I do. I don't know what it is, but
it's like this magnetic force.
It is the strangest thing. It's so strange because my husband and I have been very, very fortunate to travel, and we'll just sit down and we're like, oh yeah, I'm from Buffalo Grove or something. It's like, which is a suburb of Chicago. We're like, no way, out of all these people.
Exactly.
Thousands and thousands, and
exactly.
It's very strange how many people, when they say it's a small world, it really is. I'm amazed at how many Chicagoans I run into.
It's incredible, yes. And I mean, we do come from a city with millions of people, but like I was saying earlier, a lot of people in the Midwest, and actually in a recent episode we talked about this. My guest was from Wisconsin, and she had talked about, Midwesterners don't usually leave.
Right.
Like it's part of the culture. Like you stay often. I have so many friends who are still in the same neighborhood we grew up in.
Me too.
And that's just how it is. So it's interesting to find these connections outside for those of us who have chosen to move on from the city or the the Chicagoland area. We find each other, and I just the older I get, the more of a gift I see in that. So I'm so glad that we met.
Yes, me too. Me too.
And our connection is so interesting.
It is. It's very interesting. Yeah, but you're right, because like my cousins still live in the same town that they were born. My aunts never left.
Yeah.
It's just very.
And that's how it is.
That's just the way it is. And we don't think anything about it.
We're the strange ones for leaving.
We are the strange ones. We are the strange ones.
How could you do that?
I know.
How could you do that?
They still say that to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still, I can't believe you left. I'm like, I know, I did. I'm gone.
Yeah. It's an experience, and it's getting to the place of actually deciding to move away was big.
Right.
So there's serious roots.
Yeah.
Serious roots that I think go way back beyond us. It's like from the ancestors, because it's just such a, like I was saying when we first started, there's so much history and so many layers, and so it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm so proud to be from Chicago.
Me too.
So.
Yeah.
But okay, well, Carrie, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so
having you on the
much.
show today. I really can't believe how fast this went. But it's been such a pleasure to have you here today to talk about being a Chicagoan and how it really stays with you no matter where you go in the world. I'm just so happy we met.
Yes,
and
thank you so much. Yes, it's been wonderful.
Yes, having the opportunity to share memories from the Midwest and really just to talk more about that unique connection that happens with, when you're a Chicagoan, you're born a Chicagoan or born from, Illinois, Northern Illinois, because it's a separate entity, really.
It really is.
From the rest of Illinois.
Yes,
but
it's on there.
It stays with you.
Yes,
it stays with you. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for Sentience, Conversations About Lives Being Lived. All episodes can be watched on Akaku channels in Maui County and streamed everywhere on the Akaku Maui Stream app. You can also view all episodes on our YouTube channel, Sentience, Conversations About Lives Being Lived. And follow us on Instagram at Sentience Show for updates, guest highlights, and opportunities to be on the show. I am Allison Samalita, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.